Hi, this is where I share my insights. Thank you for watching. And today, I'm talking about the Conspiring Act, making it all come together. This is those moments where you feel like your career has taken off, your finances have taken off. It's all working. It's this feeling that everything is coming together. And there's an updraft of increase and effortless abundance. And I want to talk about how funny it is that we can try to make that happen. It's weird. So we're going to talk about the Conspiring Act and what it means to make it work. So I hope you'll stick around. The Conspiring Act is an esoteric and mysterious resonance that seems to uplift and inspire when you're not super focused on making it happen on your own. But you want it to happen. You want it to conspire. You want success. We all want success. But if you want the kind of success that sort of takes off, you have to understand why people use language like that. What is this updraft or this feeling that you've been taken up into glory and things just sort of blossom and billow? And when you get to that, you have hit your stride, and you like Isaiah says, you mount up like an eagle, and you have your wings spread, and the updraft takes you. And in that moment, there's no more working. It is working. We call that, we have words for that, making love. It's that amorous feeling where you just got swept up by it. In the musical world, we call it making music. And I'm so fortunate to have been able to be a conductor for as long as I was, because I had to put together groups of people to sing synchronistically and to emote and to create the right interpretation of the music. And in those moments when you're conducting the music, you might think that you're leading it, but no, you're being led. It's like the dynamic forces rise up and everybody's focused in on that one thing. So the challenge for a conductor in that instance is to help people to deflect their attention from the idea of the individual and the baggage that they carry around, or the desire of the individual to be seen and heard above the group. One of the hardest things to do as a choir director was to get people to blend and to get on the same page and to shed inhibition and to get into the mission of the interpretive act of letting the music live and take off on its own. And there were many times that happened. The choir was very prepared. They knew the music inside and out. And once they ingested the music, once we interpreted it, it would come out fresh in those moments, like we had never heard it before, like we were not singing anymore, but that the music was singing through us. And that I was responding to something higher than myself as the conductor, that I was no longer conducting, I wasn't cognizant of where we were in the music, I wasn't really thinking about it, I was simply responding internally to this very whimsical, spontaneous thing, which you can say the spirit was moving, It's conspiring, which means breathe together. So the group dynamic was focused on rendering a very convincing, honest, and transparent performance, whereby there were no longer individuals on the stage, but a collective group of people operating on one consciousness, which came together like a flock of birds. If you ever watch a flock of birds, it's almost like they have a singular brain which seems to direct them and put them in formation. It's a beautiful thing because the individual birds fall in line to this resonance, which seems to coagulate or coalesce in migratory birds, or you can even see this in colonies of ants. They act as an organism, a singular organism, acting as one within this thousands and thousands of individual organisms. So that's a group consciousness sort of thing, which sort of works at the individual level. When you ride a bike, for example, you don't learn how to ride a bike through concept. You learn how to ride a bike through experience. And then the experience sort of helps you teach yourself how to conspire with gravity and the centrifugal force and all this stuff, so that once you learn how to ride a bike, when you ride a bike, it's almost as if there's no work involved. But if you think about the physics and the mechanics of riding a bike, it's pretty involved. And if you thought about riding a bike and gave it conscious thought, you'd likely fall. And so we see this illustrated in the parallel of the story of Jesus, who apparently walked on water. And Peter took his eyes off of Jesus and sank. So Peter was able to walk on the water if he kept his eyes on Jesus. Now that's a story of deflecting your own eyes on what you think you want, and to turn your eyes upon the higher collective consciousness that is conspiring in your life. So, believe it or not, there are conspiring forces at work in your life that you can't see. But you can't make it happen. If you give it conscious thought, it seems to slow it down. It seems to deflect it. In the same way that a choir, if you're dealing with a group of people and they start becoming aware of themselves and that somebody's watching them, the magic dies. So the magic increases when the individual has been primed to think less and less and less about themselves. And so when you think less and less and less about riding a bicycle, the physics and the complexity and the danger of it go away. If you give driving some thought, for example, it's pretty dangerous to drive. All these people around, you can hit something. Yet we let our bodies drive, and we text and talk and listen to the radio and zone out. And the most dangerous activity is sort of taking care of itself. The driving becomes second nature. People will say, well, that's just muscle memory. But the muscles don't have brains. The muscles don't have memory. Kinesthetics is a strange thing. to think that your body can do it without you, the conscious being inside of there, directing fingers and toes, directing hands and feet. And that's the key. So the more you shine your consciousness on you, or I'll call it me and my problems, the group dynamics or the conspiring act do not come in. There's no transcendence, because you're caught in the illusion of self and your problems. So I would suggest to anybody who seems to be in a life that is cumbersome and dead and boring and not conspiring, things just don't seem to be working, it's because you're trying to direct it. And the more that you try to direct it, the less spontaneous and adventuresome it becomes. And so you can't make love. Your love making is so boring. You can't make money. You can't make believe. You can't make music. Because you want to know how it's going to go. You want to know how it's going to come out first. And you can never predict how it comes out. You can conspire with the outcome, or with that which seems to be creating the outcome. And the more that you diminish your efforts to try, ironically, the outcome comes out much better. So it's a feeling of relaxation, right? Trust. When you're riding a bike, you're trusting gravity, you're trusting the bikes, the tires, the traffic, everybody. You're at the mercy of the conspiring forces that make riding a bike possible, or driving a car. You're not directing your feet. You're not directing balance. You're not doing any of that. All of that becomes one action. And if you realize how much was involved in riding a bike and how little you have to think about it, the same thing can be applied with your daily life. That if you wouldn't think about it so much, try to direct it, try to figure out how, the conspiring forces would catapult you, uplift you, and you would be in this realm of transcendence where you don't think about me and my problems anymore. To the average person, people will say, well, isn't that a naive way to live? No, living with your head in the clouds is what allows this conspiring act to take place. It's a complete diminishment of me and my problems and my life. And it's a refocusing of serving the group, serving the community, serving humanity at large. When you start taking your attention off of me and my problems and start realizing you're on a team of one, if you want to think about it, then this conspiring act transpires in your life. You no longer think about it anymore. The individuation, the acute sense of individuation is dimmed. And the collective consciousness and the resonance conspire with you. And you have this wonderful spontaneous dance that seems to be going on between self and other. And this self and other illusion, people are afraid of it, rather than unify with it and work in tandem with it. And to make it happen is to try less. But I would not say, hey, just jump in and ride a bike for the first time. It all just happens. Or fly a plane, for example. If you fly a plane, you realize the plane flies itself. Or if you play the piano plays itself. Or if you start a YouTube channel, the YouTube channel sort of tells you where to go. But you'll stumble your way into those proficiencies. At first, it's going to be awkward to learn the mechanics of the law of the conspirational act. There are laws and principles that you have to understand before you can just throw yourself into this abandonment. You have to know what skill you're going to refine. And at first it's clunky and cumbersome, like riding a bike or playing the piano, but eventually the muscles refine, You understand the higher purpose of it. And at upper echelons of the conspiring act, there is no performer performing. There is no pianist playing. There is no singular person doing anything. It's an entire symphony happening without a conductor. Even the so-called conductor is being conducted. So it's blending. That's important. Blending in, becoming anonymous. And it's not beating yourself up and thinking you're a piece of shit. It's equalizing. It's tuning in to the life forces that are working to uplift and updraft through your spread wings. But you have to know what it means to spread your wings. To be in that state of wonderment, which I'm going to personify through my face. I'm going to show you what wonderment looks like, because wonderment is an intangible. But on the face of a child, wonderment, or the loss of self, or the unity of the entire fabric of the universe, would look like something like this. Now, watch my face. I'm going to make a contrived version of wonderment. Okay? That's what that looks like as a symbol. From the other way, the acute sense of the individual being a deer in headlights looks like this. Right? It's two different versions of the light. Wonderment is being the light of the world, losing yourself, being absorbed into it. A deer in headlights is paranoia, like the light shining on me. But a conversion is that the light shines through me, and what I see is a mirror, a reflection of who I am. And I am all of that. So it dims down the individual and brightens the world, rather than blinds you by your own reflection. And looking into the world from a paranoid sense is like holding a flashlight into a mirror. Turn the flashlight off. Don't look in the mirror, but go within. Let your inside become soft. And then that inner light will glow and become part of your conspiring act, because you will become like the sun. Most people are like the moon. They think the light is shining on them. That's what the ego thinks. The ego thinks it's the moon. It's illuminated by a spotlight. People watching. But then the inner working understands itself to be the sun. It's got its own energy, its own supply, its own source, its own resources, its own everything. It's complete and full and whole and beautiful. And it shines as the light of the world. It is the light of the world. So what you see is a reflection of that inner light. That's the conspiring act. How do we make that happen? I don't know. I just know that it happens. Usually because you get so exhausted of trying. And after a few stumbles, you realize every successful thing is a stumbling to that. Like a fool. And everything's a surprise. Even the conspiring act. My name is Ryan. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com.